The night before, I sat my, was it certificate or was it membership with the Royal College? Newcastle had a game at West Ham. And I went to the game. And I booked into the exam was in the Hotel Russell on Russell Square. I booked into the Hotel Russell, so I was at least in the hotel. Yeah. I got upgraded to a room with a jacuzzi in it. And I ended up, after the game, sitting with a textbook in a jacuzzi with a bottle of wine.
Gives me great pleasure to welcome the Sports Dentistry. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the Sports Dentistry podcast as guest Neil Mitchell.
Thanks, mate.
I had to get someone on with a stronger accent than me, just so our listeners will understand.
Been out here in Dubai for 13 years, and it never gets any softer. And I keep having to remind people out here I don't come with subtitles.
You don't think it's got softer, but I'm almost certain that people out here, when you're talking to another Geordie, they will say that.
Fair play. If I've been out watching the match the night before, when I come in first thing in the morning, I'll say hello to the girls, and there's a look that they get on their face that says, I haven't understood a word you've said, but I'm going to be too polite to say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? And you're like, yeah, I'll go and get a coffee, I'll come back in a bit, and just sort of ground yourself and start again.
But Neil, I think with that accent, you fit in very well in Dubai. You must fit in so well with the locals here, you know?
It's funny, the one thing I've discovered out here is nobody likes an angry Geordie. once you get a little bit upset, it's like...
I don't think anybody likes an angry Geordie.
All problems suddenly get solved.
Brilliant.
So we're here talking to Neil for a couple of reasons. Well, the first thing that brought us here was that you've just launched the Dubai Sports Dentistry Clinic. So really interested, first of all, to understand where that idea came from and how that developed. So
the idea goes back a long way. I've known Dr. Thanos Stamos from Athens, who I believe you spoke to a couple of times. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him since sort of like 2015, 2016. He invited me to speak at a FIFA EcoSep conference here in Dubai when they were trying to knock on the door of FIFA and get them interested. And we effectively gate crashed the conference, and we held Peter de Hooger, the medical chairman, almost hostage in the room. We made him listen to the presentations, and that was an interesting group. It was Thanos, Sophie Cantessima, and quite a few names people would know. And since then, Thanos and I remain good friends. And we've talked on and off because his life has brought him in and out of Dubai a few times about setting something up here. And we just never seemed to find the right time. We got close pre-COVID, and then COVID happened and all sorts of hell broke loose. And then life happens. Yeah. He had life happen, and I had some life shit happen. And then when I come here to Park Avenue Dental Clinic three and a bit year ago, we were still starting to talk about, well, are we thinking about doing this again? And I introduced him to Dr. Michelle, who was the owner here, and Michelle hit it off straight away. And so all of a sudden we had three people who were buying into the same idea. We could see, A, the need for it, B, there's nothing else like it bar Aspetar in the region. And it would be a bit of an adventure. And so Michelle kindly let us use the space, and there's plenty of it, and funds bits and bobs of toys to play with, which is very kind of him. And Thanos lends his contacts and his expertise and his knowledge and the depth of knowledge that he has. And I sort of do the heavy lifting and the gob shaking, as you can probably guess. And
I'd be interested, touched on there, I'd be interested, you said about the need for it, because I know a lot of us get into sports dentistry because we're passionate about sport and we love sport, and if we could be a professional athlete, we would probably turn down dentistry in the morning and be a professional athlete. But it's great having a love for sports dentistry, but where do you go from there? And you talked about the need. So to me, Dubai doesn't scream sports to me. Now, they might host a lot of great events, but from a day-to-day activity types of things, maybe just to make so. But you live here, so you have a better understanding.
You'd be surprised how many active sports leagues there are here, and how many different sports, because you've got an influx of people globally. You've got an active American Football League, an active Australian Rules League, an active, many levels of active football leagues.
Yeah.
I won't call it soccer. You've got obviously cricket and massive,
which is John's favourite sport. Just so you know,
massive amount of cricket. But there's also there's a Gaelic sports league out here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so there is the amount of ordinary day-to-day people whose families are involved with sport. The kids are involved with sports outside of schools and on top of schools. And the numbers would be huge. I mean, we're in Motor City now. I live 10 minutes that way in Sports City, where I spent an evening, Friday evening before I do my main podcast of the week. We just opened a new Hard Rock Cafe there, and I sat in the Hard Rock Cafe having a beer and a burger, overlooking the stadium, watching kids training on football, watching the parents doing laps of the stadium. It's all there. There's this new school just being built in which it opens, I think, in September, and it's got a sports ground that some colleges in the UK would be envious of. God knows what the fees are going to be, but that's another thing.
But I think that's why Dubai lends itself to that, because of the weather is the biggest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's also there's a big drive in the region to get the population healthier. Mm-hmm. If you look at what was behind what Sheikh Mohammed wanted to do with the Vision 2024, what Saudi wanted to do with Vision 2030. Mm-hmm. You look at wanting to get people interested in sport and getting people active in the sport, but also you've got some interesting populations with proclivities to certain conditions that don't interact well with each other, and so you need to be armed coming back to treating a patient. We're getting back to putting the mouth back into a body and being physicians again, not just gum gardeners and tooth technicians. We're a lot more than that, and we can be a lot more than that. But I think patients are switching on to the value of that, and they're understanding the true meaning of the word holistic. You use the word holistic and you start to think about tinfoil hats and fairies. No.
It's interesting though, sorry John, it's interesting though, because John talks about he doesn't feel, or he doesn't see that Dubai shouts out as being a sports hub or a major sports city. But from my eyes, I know from my history of playing cricket certainly, that there's a lot of sport that goes on here, because the weather plays this big part from many months of the year. Where in the UK, the weather's not good enough for you to be able to train. And we obviously talk about cricket and Gaelic football and other sort of sports as well. And Dubai has now become a hub for people to go for winter weather training.
It's a wonderful place to live,
and the facilities,
for
like
so many months of the year in great conditions. Yes, okay, the summer's tough.
Yeah.
But you do kind of get used to it. It's weird what I normalise these days, but that's another matter. But I mean, just to give you an idea of it, since we started Dubai Sports Dentistry in the summer, because we've got physicians regionally who are very supportive of the guys at the FIFA Rehab Centre in Jeddah. Fantastic.
Okay.
And Dr. Jose Padilla at Mediclinics here, sports position. Brilliant. We already have 4 of the top 20 women's tennis players coming to see us here.
Very good.
And that's word of mouth referral.
And they would be based here
and
to
they're
train.
based here full time.
Okay.
They live here. Their home addresses are all in Dubai.
Yeah, I say I never think that. And we had the pleasure yesterday of going to the golf, and we met with the chief medical officer, and he was telling us about some of the golfers based themselves out here.
Yep.
I mean, you were at the cricket. Was he a cricket club you were at?
Yeah.
I used to be a member there a long time ago. Lovely place, lovely course, lovely facilities. But if you go to JJ, Tommy Fleetwood's academies up there.
Yeah.
You know, there are many golfers who are based here full time. Why? It's a central travel hub, so you can get anywhere in the world very easily. It's temperate. There's some fantastic golf courses, not just here in Dubai, down in Abu Dhabi. Go up to Ajman Al Zora is a wonderful course. Go up to Ras Al Khaimah, where I used to live, and there's some lovely little courses up there as well. And so you've got your choice, golf-wise, of what to do. And I can say this from having, my family here. It's a great place to raise your kids. And all of that. I can see why people do it.
Just talking about that, what made you made you make the decision to come out to Dubai? Were you working in Newcastle at the time?
We had a family business. We had 3 practices, 2 labs.
Okay.
In Northumberland. And the introduction of the new contract and then managing that new contract.
So this would have been the UDA system when it came in 2006?
Yeah.
Okay.
And managing all of that, and then having a rather large fallout with the local PCT over being promised a contract for a practice we built and then not getting that contract in the end. And so we were stuck with a practice that we built that we had to go ahead and open anyway. And we made it work in spite of them. But all of it just we felt like we'd just done everything we could, and we didn't know really what was next. And it's like, well, is this it?
Okay.
And so we had the fortunate option of being able to work things out to bring myself and my wife at the time and the kids out here.
So that's a big decision. So it wasn't as if you went out and tested the water. You actually made that decision. And why a lot of us would have went to Australia around that time. So 2006, I just qualified. I did a year or 2 up beside where you're from. And then I went to Australia for a year. So a lot of people were going to Australia around that time. So what made that decision to actually fully commit to Dubai at that time instead of maybe...
I always had an interest in for the Middle East.
Okay.
In the Arab world. I had a year out of dentistry when I was chairman of the Newcastle United Supporters Trust, and we were actually trying to...
chairman of Newcastle, where we still have to get odd in Newcastle. I want to talk a little bit of dentistry first before we start talking about Newcastle.
I had a year out, and because we tried to buy the club off Mike Ashley, and we worked on a plan to build a vehicle that fans could invest in that wasn't a collective investment scheme, that we could then partner with businessmen interested in buying the club to try and buy Mike Ashley out of the club. And that became a full-time job.
How long did it take you to get Ashley out? At least another decade, wasn't it?
At least,
and I can tell you more stories on that, but I'm actually right in the middle of writing a book about that.
How big is this book? It's going to take you a while.
Yeah, it should be. We're hoping to publish it this year.
Wow.
Myself and 2 mates, because we've all been on the ins and outs of various takeover attempts at Newcastle for a while. And during that year out, when that come to an end and I had some time on my hands and my first marriage had finished, I lived in Morocco for a couple of months.
Okay.
And got a taste for the Arab world.
Did you work in Morocco, or just did you take a break and just live there?
I lived in Morocco, and then we used to get the catamaran across to Spain, and I used to play poker tournaments on the south coast of Spain.
God, your story is fascinating. We're going to be here for a while because there's a lot I want to know about you. To be honest.
So what you're
I
saying-
thought his stories were great, but you're taking the
So what
biscuit
you're
here.
saying is running 3 NHS practices will drive you to go to Morocco.
Yes.
Then get a ferry across to be a professional poker player. in the south of Spain.
No, it was quite, yeah. That was an interesting time, but so yeah, that was where I got the flavour for that, and talked it through with my wife and about is that what options do I have and where can we go?
Okay.
I came out initially actually and spoke to Emirates. Yeah, like because they have a medical and dental clinic here.
Okay.
And it looks after the executives, the senior pilots, and the senior crew.
Okay. And how did that opportunity arise? Did they advertise?
Advertise in the BDJ
Yeah. Okay.
on a regular basis. I came out, had an interview with them, and by then, obviously, I was with Louise, my second wife, but we weren't married. And at the time, coming out as an unmarried couple was not the done thing. So I believe that was what I failed the interview with Emirates, but somebody passed me CV to one of the big groups here,
Okay.
who got in touch with us via email and said, "Do you want to come and speak to us?" And the package they laid on the table was every bit as good as Emirates, and it was like, right, okay, let's do it.
Just before we get into the sporting side of things, there's a lot of people who are shifting away from the UK. We had the pleasure of speaking to David from the BDJ earlier, and he was talking about the outflux of dentists going out of the UK, maybe not to specifically to Dubai or the Emirates as such, but just generally speaking, what is the attraction for dentists that you think now, being out of the game from the UK for quite a while, coming to the Emirates? We know that there's a saturation in the market with dentists here.
There is, yes, yeah.
Can you just give us a little bit of an insight into that?
What, in terms of what was the attraction to come, or?
So I suppose initially, yes, you've just touched on it because of the... what you were
Look, there's one thing out here is it's regulated but not overly heavily regulated, and that is a big attraction. To be able to say, right, this is the way I feel we should be able to do this. We want to do it right, and not be bound by a system that you've had no input in. It's making it work, not having to work with a two-tier system. You can do what's right and bill accordingly and bill properly, but also be ethical and what have you. That's not to say that you don't see some stuff here. I'll be brutally honest. I've seen out here in Dubai, I've seen some of the very best dental work I've ever seen, and some of the very worst. But I would say that is if you speak to anybody in any sector here, they'll tell you exactly the same thing. Very Geordie phrase to say that shit, I should. And so there's that side of it. You don't feel as restricted. I mean, the DHA here are getting more and more things right as time goes on. When I first come here, there was people here who had licenses who shouldn't have had licenses. And they were finding ways to get licenses, God knows how. People who've been struck off in multiple countries.
Okay.
For example, I was given a CV for an oral surgeon by an HR manager. Would you like to interview this guy? And it was the early days of Google. And five minutes with me on Google found he'd been struck off in Ireland and in Finland and in somewhere else. And it was like, well, no, I wouldn't like to interview this person, thank you very much. In fact, I would like it nowhere near my practice. But somehow he had a license. That doesn't happen now. They've got that nailed here now. The sort of the credentialing and the making sure you are who you are and you are a clinician and you've not been struck off somewhere and all that. I have pretty damn every faith that doesn't happen here now.
Is that because of a saturation thing, you think?
No, I just think they genuinely want to get it right here. The next thing they're moving on to is proper regulation and sort of quality insurance and things like that. And that's still feeling away a little bit with things like that. But there's so many people here of the right mind. They want it to succeed, and they want it to succeed in the right way. And it's genuine is a good place to come and flex your clinical muscles and get some real good experience of a wide range of things.
Do you think there's still opportunities available for people who are still wishing to come?
I think at the minute it's very... I wouldn't like to be a young dentist coming out here now and think I can do what I did. I'm blessed. I've got a many years reputation in a patient base and stick my name into one of the Facebook groups and thankfully it comes back with nice recommendations.
Yeah.
That makes me very lucky.
We are delighted to have Ionate as a sponsor for the Sports Dentistry podcast. Are you looking for a water bottle that's built to keep up with your active lifestyle? Look no further than Ionate, the totally leak-proof water bottles with triple lock technology to prevent spills no matter where you're headed. With a simple one-touch opening mechanism, you can sip on the go without hassle. Plus, Ionate's sleek, modern designs are not only functional but can be personalized just for you. Made from high-quality steel, these bottles are easy to clean and best of all, they're sustainable. From 320 mils to 1200 mils, Ionate has the perfect size for you, whether you're just out for a jog or going on a long hike. And it doesn't stop at water bottles. Ionate also has travel mugs and flasks to keep your drinks just right wherever you are. Ionate is the official water bottle supplier to the British and Irish Lions on their tour to Australia this summer, and are the official water bottle supplier to the NFL, so you know you're getting the best. I have been using their bottles for a long time now and cannot recommend them highly enough. So head over to www.ionate.co.uk to get your hands on the best bottles in the business, bar none. Now back to the pod.
Yeah.
I don't know how the young dentists coming out here, because the other thing, a lot of the young dentists I find coming out here, that immediately want to be specialist in something quite niche. And it's like, do you want to like just try being good at everything? Be a bit more flexible. They seem to be very focused on one or two things.
Where do you see a lot of the dentists coming from? Are they coming from the UK or are they coming from other parts of the world?
Post-COVID, we had a real big influx, and you could tell where they were coming from because all these weird little niche clinics were popping up, like the Czech dental clinic and the Polish dental clinic, and they were going for very specific populations.
Okay.
That's calmed down a little bit now. They've just, this literally is this week, they've just released a list of universities now that they automatically recognise their qualifications. So that's obviously going to lead to another influx of people.
Okay.
I think it was 68 universities or something, I think, have been automatically recognised now. And they've introduced, I think, post-COVID, I think there's 2,500 more clinicians here than there was pre-COVID. So that gives you an idea what the market's like.
Yeah.
And the other thing I look at is prices. I don't know how some of the clinics are surviving. I think post-COVID is really sorting out the wheat from the chaff.
Okay.
When I look at somebody advertising on social media that they can do a full set of veneers, and I look at what they say the bill is going to be, and that's less than what my lab bill would be.
Yeah.
Well, are they being knocked out on the ceramic line up with rack ceramics? Who knows? I don't know. So it's a very it's a difficult market at the minute for somebody coming in fresh. And it's also further complicated by some of the peculiarities of your scope of practice out here. So, for example, general dentist can't do Botox, but a specialist prosthodontist and an orthodontist can't.
Can do Botox?
Yeah.
An orthodontist can, okay.
Now, the regulations may have been written by an orthodontist and a specialist. But there's loads of really weird quirks
Yeah.
within scopes of practice, even down to now, because what they want to get away from are the 20 veneer Hollywood smile clinics just banging any old thing on. And so there's even a suggestion that for to do veneers, you need a further qualification. And they're looking at scope of practice all the time. And so you've got to be really aware about what's changing and what's staying the same. And, I've got a friend who owns a clinic in Healthcare City, and he's fully trained to do Botox, and he's a very good Botox practitioner. But he doesn't do it in his own clinic. He trained the doctor who does the Botox in his clinic. And there's loads of like weird sort of contradictions like that. And if you look at how the regulations work, you can see where they've sort of magpied a little bit from the NHS and bolted it onto something from Australia. Okay. And it's almost copy paste. Yeah, okay. And you can see the join. And so helping them get over things like that. Classic example, when I first come out here, there was no consistent sole set of guidelines for antibiotic cover.
Okay.
DHA had no written guidelines for antibiotic cover at all. They do now, because myself and the doctor I worked with at the time wrote them for them.
So they're still sort of developing and learning
but with an idea in mind of excellence, and I think that's the key bit.
They're heading in the right direction.
They're heading in the right direction, and the heart's in the right direction.
And you've noticed a good change. And you've been out here, is it 14 years?
How old is the youngest? 15, so yeah, 13 years.
13. So you've been out a long time.
So, and it's definitely gone in the right direction massively, and with the right intent. And I think that's the most important thing. I think everybody still has the right goal in mind.
And then if we bring it back to the sports then, how did you, so you had to make this decision to leave and come to Dubai, but how were you able to leave Newcastle United then?
That was so really one.
Was that harder than lifting the family and relocating with the family?
I know what my ex-missus would say. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a difficult decision.
But where did that passion for Newcastle United come from? Obviously, you're in Newcastle.
Grew up on the banks of the Tyne. My grandfather was one of the first supporters to run away coaches when that became a thing. My dad played for Newcastle United as a young man. I was in the academy until I was about 13, 14.
Right.
And when it was decided that I wasn't going to be Newcastle's left back, I had to decide to do something different. And I'm lucky enough that I had a bit of academic behind us.
And then why did you choose dentistry at that stage?
No, but do you know what? I could give you a really trite, because I like to help people and I'm good on my hands and all those shitty answers. I have no idea. And I've never been able to answer that question. But if you talk to me, my parents certainly, once I'd made my mind up what I wanted to do, that was all I wanted to do.
And did you, like the fact that you weren't unsure of how you chose it, how did you find university? Because some people, when they maybe go into it because it's a good career, but they're almost forcing themselves to like it and things like that. Or was you like a duck to water when you got in there?
Yeah,
you liked it, or?
Straight in.
Yeah.
Straight in. It was like, yeah, I did the right choice. It was never it's funny, I wish I knew so many things about myself that I know now when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, well, I think we can all say the same thing.
And I know now that I'm a weird thinker. I used to think everybody else was the weird.
Yeah.
And I know now that I'm the one with the really weird mindset, because I've never had to revise for an exam. And night before most of my A-levels, I was in the pub. I just can do. So when our eldest come to me once, it was, Mitch, how do I revise? I didn't have a clue. I just never revised for a fucking thing. And understanding that my thought patterns and thought process is different. And again, if I'd understood that, it's why I can just, when I'm passionate about something and I'm really into it, the things I can remember, the dots I can join, the things that just work, just really work. But once I'm not interested in it,
I think your honesty is brilliant to hear, actually. And I think, like you said, a lot of clinicians say, "Oh, I was good with my hands," all this sort of stuff. But the fact that you're just saying, and you're being honest, and you're saying, "Didn't revise." I revised it. I'm not one of those people. I need to sit and read the books and stuff. But I think everybody's so different, and you can't paint everybody with the same brush.
No.
I think it's important that you need to give everybody's individuality out there, allow them to express themselves.
the night before I sat my, was it certificate or was it membership at the Royal College? Newcastle had a game at West Ham. And I went to the game. And I booked into the exam was in the Hotel Russell on Russell Square. I booked into the Hotel Russell, so I was at least in the hotel. I got upgraded to a room with a jacuzzi in it. And I ended up, after the game, sitting with a textbook in a jacuzzi with a bottle of wine.
Were you celebrating or commiserating yourself?
We won 1-0, unusually for a trip to London. And I'd been in the Blind Beggar most of the afternoon. And sat the exam, and if I buggered back to the North East to be greeted with a letter a few days later to say I'd passed. But, you know, it was, that is just, that to me is normal, and I understand that that's not normal. and it does, when I hear the trite answers about why did you become a dentist, and I've never genuinely been able to answer it honestly. So the only honest answer I've got is I really don't know.
And so you went into that. How have you found? You've obviously found dentistry changed a lot on your move to Dubai. How have you found Newcastle changed? Because they've changed a lot as well. You spoke about trying to get Ashley out. Who bought Newcastle?
It's PIF. It's the Saudi Public Investment Fund.
So it wasn't UAE. It wasn't. You didn't have something to do with it. You didn't come out here. I was thinking maybe that was the reason you came out here, was to drum up a bit of support.
In my time here, I've actually been invited into various meetings or Zoom calls on 3 different attempts to buy Newcastle United, which was based on the fact I had my background as the chair of the trust and what have you, and that we knew certain things. Most importantly, we knew what Mike Ashley was selling, and we knew what he wasn't selling, because he divided Newcastle United into 20 companies, and what he bought, he was only selling 17 of the 20 companies and retaining 3.
I see, okay.
And he wanted to retain things like media rights, and he wanted to retain the catering and in the ground afterwards and stuff like that.
Okay.
I talk about this because all the NDAs are expired and things like that. So there was a Canadian group headed up by the family called the Gagliardi family, who won the Dallas Stars ice hockey team.
Oh yeah.
There's a guy called Jay French he works for Matthew Southwest, who designed and built the Museum of the Future. And Jay is actually a former professional footballer. He's Canadian, but his parents are from Chesterley Street in the North East.
All right.
And he's a black and white. And Jay was part of that bid. I got invited to chat to him. We were connected by a mutual friend, because one of the other things you find about Dubai here is what is a separation of 3 or 4 people in Newcastle is one here in Dubai.
All right. Okay.
It's a village.
Yeah.
The expat communities here are a village. And that's why your biggest seller is a healthcare professional.
Even when it's growing that fast, the sector is growing so quickly.
Because it's also transient.
Ah, right. Okay.
So people come, people go, people come, go.
Okay.
So there's always that churn.
Okay.
And so to keep those referrals going, you need that word of mouth.
Yeah.
And the word of mouth is vital. And I think because I do my dentistry the way I used to do it in Morpeth, that's why it works.
Yeah.
Because it's the same.
Yeah.
It's this big shiny metropolis with towers and Lamborghinis and all that. But it's a village. And so I got introduced to Jay. We hit it off straight away, and hence we got involved with that. Then there was a bid from Dubai for the club from Benzaya Group, who were based here in Dubai, but it's Sheikh Khaled from Abu Dhabi. Got to meet the lovely Midhat, who was his number one. He is a lovely guy and absolutely mad as a box of frogs. And they tried to buy Newcastle United off of Mike Ashley, and we tried to help as much as we could with that. But then at the same time, PIF were being brought to the table by Amanda Stavely and Medad Gudusi, both of whom were based here. And we ended up advising Amanda and Medad on Zoom calls during that takeover period, just on fans, ideas and perspectives more than anything else. They wanted to get to know what they were buying into.
And did they realise how passionate Newcastle United fans were?
And that's what certainly what attracted Amanda and Medad to it.
And like, I just remember the scenes of the celebrations of Ashley being out, and people were partying in the streets. Do you think that took back the new owners a little bit, where they wouldn't have realised?
Oh yes, I think there's certainly things, because obviously our chairman is a big golf fan, and he's at a lot of the golf events, and so he knows sport in Europe. I think he's had his eyes open to a few things.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And I think it's. I genuinely do believe, though, they get the one thing that Newcastle and Newcastle United have is I call it the trisomy. It's club, city, community, and those three things interact in a very different way, because we're not just a club of one city. We're a regional club. We fight for regional honour. We're a club of really three counties, technically. And my nearest rivals, the rivalry with Sunderland goes back to the English Civil War. It's got nothing to do with football.
I actually sampled that. I went to, I was out for a day in Newcastle. It was Newcastle Sunderland. I went into the pub, and there was some very nice chants about Roy Keane and his dog.
Yes.
That was being sung by Newcastle fans. I was like, oh, they're really cut deep here. That's right.
I know exactly the song you mean, yeah. But yeah, it's and when you see that kick in, there's a apocryphal tale that if Newcastle win on a Saturday, productivity in the city goes up by 10% on a Monday.
That right, is it?
And I think I could believe that.
I think when you follow a sport like, and you have that real sense of connection to the team, the winning and losing really does impact people's attitude.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you think it's only, like, my wife's not into sports and she can't understand. Sometimes she's like, it's only a match or whatever. But you can really see people's mindsets change.
How sport,
and like, they can't make an impact because it's not them playing. But the way they can get into it and the way it affects their whole week.
How sport can take highly educated individuals and turn them into gibbering idiots. I'll give you the best example. Our last family home in the UK before we moved out here was actually in County Durham. And it was much bigger than we really needed, and we had this like a second lounge. And my missus was like, what can I do with that? I says, well, you know what? Another couple of grand's not going to make a blind bit of difference. Do what you like with it. And she come back with this. It was beautiful. It was a red leather sort of three-seater chaise lounge, two-seater, one-seater. But she then put white cushions on it.
Oh, I was like, that's what's when you said the word red. I knew I was gonna...
And it looked like red and white stripes. And I come home from work, I'm like, what is this? And
so the way that just set you off with the colour recognition.
I refused to sit it. And I sat on the floor of this beautifully done reception room. When we had people around and everything, I refused to sit on this. And I sat in the corner with my back against the wall. And when I was in that room, not a word of a lie, after 3 months, she changed the cushions for some floral green things. and she comes in.
3 months.
Yeah.
Not even 3 days.
Comes in to find me sitting happily on the sofa. And I learned some new words that day.
We are delighted to have Ionate as a sponsor for the Sports Dentistry podcast. Are you looking for a water bottle that's built to keep up with your active lifestyle? Look no further than Ionate, the totally leak-proof water bottles with triple lock technology to prevent spills no matter where you're headed. With a simple one-touch opening mechanism, you can sip on the go without hassle. Plus, Ionate's sleek modern designs are not only functional but can be personalised just for you. Made from high-quality steel, these bottles are easy to clean and best of all, they're sustainable. From 320ml to 1200ml, Ionate has the perfect size for you, whether you're just out for a jog or going on a long hike. And it doesn't stop at water bottles. Ionate also has travel mugs and flasks to keep your drinks just right wherever you are. Ionate have officially licensed water bottles for the NBA, NFL, MotoGP and British and Irish Lions, so you know you're getting the best. I have been using the bottles for a long time now and cannot recommend them highly enough. So head over to www.ionate.co.uk to get your hands on the best bottles in the business, bar none. Now back to the pod.
Neil, I've got to say, your stories are absolutely brilliant. And I think just to finish on, I reckon we can bring sport into dentistry, and this is kind of why we're here. Now, before today, we'd never spoken. John had been in contact with you. So after the long day ADEC today, we were trying to get ready to meet David from the BDJ to get some food before we came here to meet you. I get a message from Andy Murray, who's the CMO of DP World Tour Golf.
Right.
We saw him yesterday. He's like, Amy, would you mind just having a look at this photo? He's sending me a photo of some teeth. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, so this is the manager of some of the biggest Scottish golfers in the world. He's got some issues. He's in Dubai. I'm like, okay. He's like, what can we do? And I was like, well, it's interesting you say that. We're on our way to Dubai Sports Dentistry. And in the matter of maybe 10 or 15 minutes, the power of contacts, I think the power of trust is the biggest thing, I think. And the power of being able to connect so quickly. And for him to be seen literally within an hour and a half, given it took him an hour to get here.
Yeah, I mean,
as we arrived, he was here and he was like, thank you so much. That connection that's now being made between Andy, myself, John, yourself, and the manager of some of the biggest golfers in the world, I think in that 2-hour period, just epitomizes what we're trying to do.
Well,
what we're trying to achieve.
And it fits with what we've done already. We soft launched Dubai Sports Dentistry in the summer. And we now, thanks to local referrals, people like Philippe at FIFA Rehab Centre, who really strongly believes in what we're doing, Jose Padilla in Mediclinics, we now have 4 of the top 20 world's women's tennis players coming here. After I referred one, she told the other 3, and then I'm all coming here. And we've used the Titan unit with them. One of them, I'm not near her, but she brought her fitness coach along. And you know, you can tell somebody's not really like, what am I doing here? Why with the dentist? You know, he's on his phone and he's being all cool in the corner. And she was describing what she was feeling. And she was describing a torsion in her neck and a torsion in her face when she was doing certain movements. And you could feel that TMJ was clicking like a, you know, like an old door. But we put the Titan unit on, we could actually demonstrate which muscle was doing what and at what levels. And that our occlusion was at 700% above normal.
700%.
Yeah, the numbers that you get on the Titan unit for bite force is between 85 and, I forget what the units are, 85 and 150. And she was at 750, man.
Wow.
And it was just like, and you'd say he perked up because that unit, it just, and with the little diagram that it puts on with where the pivot axis is wrong and where the muscles are firing in different places, absolutely demonstrated what she'd just said and she'd been telling him for weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes he doesn't understand, and I think that's the connection we have to do with the likes of S&C coaches and fitness coaches and medics is once we start talking about teeth, they sort of like glaze over. We start talking in their language. Like as soon as you start talking about muscles and being able to show them and have that visual, That's language they can understand and they can link into.
We are now getting, there's some amazing data coming from places like Japan, coming from what Thanos is doing with the footballers. You know, he's got data that suggests the footballers with impacted wisdom teeth are 25% more likely to do their hamstrings. Like, well, what's the mechanism there, ladies and gents? Let's all talk about that.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, Arsene Wenger was advising players to get their wisdom teeth taken out years ago. Way ahead of everybody. And so, you know, we've got the data that says the long distance runners with plantar fasciitis, about 50% of them have got occlusal problem. And so now you've got physios starting to say, right, your core doesn't start here, it starts here.
Yeah.
Right, now you're in our ballpark. Can we play, please? Because what we're doing is we're going back, ironically, if you go back in history to ancient Greek and ancient Arabic medicine, there's an Arabic text called the Proper Care of Health. It's from something like the 1200s. 12 books, one of them totally dedicated to oral health.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Totally dedicated to oral health. It's in the Berlin. It's in one of the German libraries because I've read it. It's translated into German only.
Okay.
But it's 12 books. It's called Proper Care of Health. Ibn Rabban al-Tabari, I think is the guy's name who wrote it. And then you go back to ancient Greek medicine and someone like was it Hippocrates who said you diagnose anything with the finger in the mouth and the finger in the anus? Which I guess as long as you remember which finger you put where you're on. But, you know, we're going back, that's going backwards, but it was recognised in the past that, you know, guess what? The head bone is connected to the neck bone. But I get why Western medicine divides it up into compartments. It's the easiest way to teach it.
Yeah.
But you're right, we have to then go back to physicians and start using words like stubbornathic.
That's what they understand.
Yeah.
And start to say, right, what we're telling you is, because if you get go back to football, you look at the impact on cost, the money floating around football at the minute.
It's crazy.
And if you can prevent injuries in
But the money floating about for players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also they need to have 100% total care for injury prevention, injury recovery, and reduced return to play time. And when you've got somebody at Barcelona who's genuinely talking to SpaceX about sending players into low Earth orbit for a week because studies suggest that the muscles recover quicker in low gravity, I'm sure there's money there to be researching sports dentistry.
Yeah.
Which is something far more tangible for every club, not just Barcelona and Real Madrid, but for, you know, even lower league clubs. If you take the protocol that Thanos has devised for screening, we're going to be doing it here soon with Olympiakos' academy here.
Okay, nice.
They have an academy here.
Yeah, they've got an academy. Nearly every club has an academy here. It's mad.
Okay.
Again, you don't see it as small.
Exactly, that's exactly it, isn't it?
They want to tap into the market here.
Okay.
They all are so desperate to find the interesting thing with the expat communities here is there are some genuine budding sports stars out there. But some of them get lost along the way. And a lot of them have twigged on, well, if I've got an academy there, I might be able to pick somebody, one of the hidden gems from there.
You know, I think it comes back to the value that's being seen in sports dentists from the medics. For example, Andy, picking up the phone, messaging us, you were talking about the person who came with the tennis star there, and he was on his phone, but then all of a sudden when you started giving the information, but that's it.
You could see he was switched on and he got what that diagram meant.
Yeah.
And that it married exactly what she'd been telling him for weeks.
Yeah.
All the lights come on. And it's like, great, we've got a convert. Because that's the same with Philip, who sent us the stuff from FIFA Medical Centre. He's a friend and colleague of Thanos, and he's a convert.
Yeah.
He's somebody who's seen...
That's who you need, though, isn't it?
He's somebody who's seen what a performance splint can do for a player's rehab.
Yeah.
And so things like that, you know, it really is vital.
Yeah.
And it's those connections are so vital.
Yeah. Neil, that's been absolutely
Yeah, it's
fantastic. Really,
Pleasure.
really has. Were you about to say something there, John? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say we'll not touch on it now because we'll could spend hours on it. But we need to
Did
get your.
warn you.
We didn't. No, we haven't even touched on it. But like we've talked about a lot about dentistry in Newcastle United. What we've tried to leave out is the fact that you make our podcast look so insignificant compared to your podcast with your tens of thousands of YouTube followers.
So we me and my friends set up NUFC Matters over COVID. The idea of it was actually to try and raise money for the Fans Food Bank at Newcastle.
Okay.
My friends helped found the Fans Food Bank, and during COVID, with no crowds, we were getting no donations. So we're like, well, how can we try and, get something going there? And we're all reasonably well recognised gobshites within the fan base. And so we said, well, why don't we do something like that and see what happens? And here we are, however many years it is later. We've got a YouTube channel with 60,000 plus followers. We're still doing 7 shows a week.
Just 7. Do you do one every day?
No, I don't. I'm involved with 2 or 3.
Okay.
But
As a group,
my
you
mate
do-
Steve Wraith hosts most of them, and we're still doing 7 shows a week. With varied things, we've got a worldwide fans forum where we've got people on from 7 different time zones at any one particular time.
Wow.
With the big show we do on a Friday night's become known as the Three Amigos, and that's me and my two friends, Steve Hasty, Steve Wraith,
Nice.
and now my dad. I do another show at the weekend called Professionals with my mate Stu, who's based in Bahrain, and that's more of a Middle East based show. And we get Super Mac, Mac McDonald, who used to play for the club. He does one with a local reporter, John Gibson, with Steve, and we do a few other bits and bobs. And we
You haven't got to where I've seen people where they're streaming them watching the match, and you have people watching them watching the match.
had
I'm like, why don't you just watch the match yourself?
in the past, I think particularly tail end of COVID, when nearly all the games were being broadcast, I think Steve did do a few watch-alongs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not my cup of tea either.
Yeah.
They're not because I think so much of it's performative.
Yeah.
And again, comes back to what we said off camera earlier. If it's performative, it's not authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why people buy into how we run NUFC Matters. We script nothing, we do nothing in advance. We just go in and dry. Every time we go on, bang, away we go. We've got a way where people can ask questions live through a platform called StreamYard that will broadcast the show through. So there's ways to interact, and that's what guides the show.
Yeah.
But we always wanted to run it like it was just mates having a chat in the pub.
Yeah. Well, we just kind of wing it as well, don't we? We just kinda wing it. We just don't know. I don't know what story John's going to come out with on the podcast. I'm like, what's going on?
Builds following, and that's
Yeah.
what builds people to be interested in you, is just be unapologetically and totally authentically yourself.
Yeah.
And that comes across when you're passionate about anything. If it's
Yeah.
sports dentistry, if it's sports or knitting, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're unapologetically and authentically yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what people buy into. It fascinates us. I still get blown away when I go home because I get stopped in the street.
Okay. Yeah.
Mitch, how are you doing? and I'm literally I got bought a couple of pints in Charles de Gaulle Airport while I was in
very
transit
nice.
one day
Yeah.
by a fellow Geordie who was going out to work in Senegal, who watches all the shows and thinks I'm great. Hi, yeah, fine. I'm fine off you, neighbour. But all of that is just because everybody, the feedback we get is like, that feels like a chat with our mates in the pub, and we want to continue the conversation.
And I think that's something that we've tried to do as well. You know, we do. I mean, me and John get on extremely well. We take the mick out of each other a lot as well. But we don't maybe put that on in front of the camera because this is a professional podcast.
Yes, of course. We're not winging it all.
But when the day comes and people start buying us copies because they like the podcast, that's brilliant. But just before we finish, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to our sponsors as well. So Philips, for looking out for our oral health while we're here in Dubai, and for Ionate for keeping us fueled, whatever we decide to put in as well. Thank you so much for hosting us in this beautiful clinic of yours, and for helping us out.
Thanks for hosting us. And if anybody is interested in working with Dubai or coming out to Dubai,
Yeah.
get in touch with Neil. You've
Please.
given a great information about dentistry in Dubai.
Anybody wants to reach out, easiest way to find us is either on Twitter, where I'm at Geordie Dentist, or geordiedentist@gmail.com.
So brilliant, Neil. Thanks very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being a great host, and thanks for making us look like heroes by, by looking after that golfer earlier.
Pleasure, mate. Love it.
Brilliant. That's great, Neil. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
man.
Thank you. That's
Thank you.